Imagine waking up one day only to find your loved one speaking in tongues, exhibiting superhuman strength, and showing an aversion to anything holy. In the darkest corners of our world, where the veil between the natural and the supernatural is at its thinnest, there lies a tale so chilling it sends shivers down even the most skeptic spines. This is the story of a demonic possession that shook the world to its core, a real-life nightmare that unfolded before the eyes of helpless loved ones. This terrifying case of malevolent possession was not just about speaking in unknown languages, but also of exhibiting strength beyond human capabilities. The victim, a person like you and me, suddenly developed an aversion to all things sacred and holy. An innocent soul, caught in the grip of an entity so dark and powerful, it defies our understanding of the world. This is not a scene from a horror movie, but a real-life account of what many believe to be the most terrifying case of demonic possession in history. To understand the gravity of this case, we need to hear from those who were there, those who witnessed the unimaginable. Let's start with the local pastor, a man of faith, who was the first to encounter the possessed. His voice trembling, he recalled how he had been called to bless an old house, but what he found was far beyond his worst nightmares. He spoke of an ominous, chilling presence that permeated the house, a feeling of despair that clung to the air like a thick fog. The walls seemed to breathe with an unspeakable horror, and he felt a dread that made his blood run cold. He recounted the inexplicable events that unfolded, the eerie sounds that echoed through the halls, and the cold spots that seemed to follow him around, making the hair on his neck stand on edge. Then, we heard from a neighbor, a woman known for her rational mind. She described how she had scoffed at the initial rumors of possession, dismissing them as mere superstition. But then, she witnessed it. She saw the possessed in broad daylight, saw their eyes black as the night, and heard their voice, distorted and unrecognizable. She spoke of the terror that gripped her, a fear so profound that it still haunts her in her dreams. And finally, we listened to the chilling account of a young boy, a friend of the possessed. His tale painted a picture of a drastic transformation, of a cheerful friend turning into a terrifying entity. He remembered the gut-wrenching fear, the sleepless nights, and the horrifying scenes that are etched into his memory. His voice, quivering with emotion, brought to life the terror of living with the unknown, the fear of losing a friend to an unseen malevolent force. Each account, unique in its own way, painted a vivid picture of the horror that unfolded in that old house. The fear, the dread, the sheer terror. These are not mere words, but the lived experiences of those who were there. These are not stories for the faint of heart. These are accounts from people who lived through a nightmare. The demonic possession of this magnitude called for drastic measures. An exorcism was deemed necessary. This was no ordinary ritual, but a spiritual warfare fought in the trenches of a tortured soul. The exorcism began with a solemn assembly of those brave enough to stand on this battleground. Priests, steeped in the traditions of their faith, gathered together, their faces etched with determination and a hint of trepidation. Their task was monumental, their mission, to free a captive soul from the clutches of an unknown evil. The first step in this spiritual battle was the invocation, calling upon the divine powers to lend their strength in this fight. The priests held their crucifixes high, reciting ancient rites in Latin, their voices echoing through the room like a solemn hymn. Next came the confrontation, the direct challenge to the demon lurking within. The room filled with tension as the air turned electric. The possessed individual writhed and convulsed, their body a battleground, their voice no longer their own. The priests stood their ground, their voices unwavering, even as the entity spat vile profanities and threats. The exorcism took its toll. It was not just a physical battle, but a mental one. The priests, despite their unwavering faith, were visibly drained. Sweat trickled down their faces, their hands trembled, but they pressed on, their voices growing stronger with each passing hour. The possessed individual too bore the brunt of this battle, their body contorted in unnatural ways, their eyes wild with fear and torment. But amidst the chaos, there were moments of lucidity, brief instances where their true self shone through, a tiny beacon of hope in the darkness. The exorcism was not a quick solution, but a protracted battle. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing day the fight grew more intense, but the priests remained steadfast, their faith unwavering, their resolve unbroken. The exorcism was a battle of wills, a fight between good and evil, with the stakes being nothing less than a human soul. And in this battle, there was no room for the faint of heart. Only the strongest, the most committed, could hope to emerge victorious. But one thing was certain: this was a battle that would be remembered for ages to come. In the wake of the exorcism, life was never the same. The echoes of the ordeal reverberated through the lives of all those involved, casting long and haunting shadows that refused to fade. The individual at the epicenter of the possession, once freed from the demonic entity, was left to grapple with the aftermath. While their physical form was no longer under the control of the malevolent force, the psychological trauma proved to be a far more resilient adversary. They were faced with the daunting task of picking up the pieces of a life shattered by an experience that defied comprehension. Sleep was fraught with nightmares, a grim replay of the possession that left them waking in a cold sweat. Daylight offered little respite as they struggled to reconcile the person they once were with the one they had become. The exorcists, too, were not left untouched by the encounter. The sheer force of the entity they had faced, the palpable evil that had radiated from the possessed, had left them wrestling with their faith. They questioned the nature of the universe, the balance of good and evil, and their own role in the grand scheme of things. They had looked into the abyss, and the abyss had looked back, leaving them forever changed. The witnesses, those who had seen the possession unfold, were forced to confront the unimaginable. The veneer of normalcy had been stripped away, revealing a world where the supernatural was not just a tale told to frighten children, but a chilling reality. They bore the burden of knowledge, a heavy weight that altered their perception of reality. And then there were the skeptics, those who dismissed the possession as a hoax or a delusion. But even they could not fully escape the ripple effects of the incident. The case had sown seeds of doubt, making them question the limits of their understanding and the nature of belief. The scars of this ordeal were more than just skin deep. They were etched into the psyche of everyone involved, a grim reminder of the time when they came face to face with the devil in flesh. This case raises questions that go beyond the realm of the ordinary. The terrifying encounter with the demonic possession we've just delved into is not just an isolated incident, but a phenomenon that has rippled across the fabric of our society, challenging our understanding of reality. The implications of this case are vast and far-reaching, provoking discussions that straddle the line between science and religion. On one hand, we have the scientific community, constantly searching for empirical evidence and rational explanations. They argue that such incidents can be explained through psychological disorders or hallucinations, claiming that the human mind, under extreme stress, is capable of creating terrifyingly real experiences. On the other hand, we have the religious and spiritual community who maintain that these events are real, that they are proof of a world beyond our physical one. They argue that science, for all its progress, cannot explain everything. There are things, they say, that go beyond the realm of the physical, things that exist in the spiritual plane that our limited human understanding cannot grasp. And then there are those who stand at the crossroads, unsure of which path to tread. They are the ones caught in the crossfire of this ongoing debate, their beliefs shaken and stirred by each new case that comes to light. The societal impact of cases like this is immeasurable. They force us to question our understanding of the world around us, pushing us to seek answers beyond the realm of the ordinary. They remind us that there are aspects of our existence that remain unexplained, mysteries that continue to elude our grasp. These cases also serve as a mirror, reflecting our deepest fears and insecurities. They tap into our primal fear of the unknown, the unseen, the unexplained, forcing us to confront these fears head-on. Whether a believer or skeptic, one thing is certain: this case has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. It serves as a stark reminder that there are still mysteries in this world that continue to baffle us, to scare us, and to intrigue us, all at the same time. As we conclude this chilling journey, we are left with more questions than answers. We've delved into the shocking revelation of the most terrifying demonic possession in history, heard the chilling witness accounts, and reflected on the harrowing exorcism. We've considered the aftermath and the implications, yet the enduring mystery and horror surrounding this case remains. We have to wonder what forces were truly at play. Was it the manifestation of a demonic entity, or a deeply troubled psyche? The terrifying ordeal of the victim, the relentless struggle of the exorcist, and the lingering impact on those involved paint a picture that is as perplexing as it is frightful. The boundary between the known and the unknown, the natural and the supernatural, blurs in this unnerving tale. In the end, the truth of this case may forever remain shrouded in darkness, a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that may lurk in the shadows.